40 minutes in front of these drivers and plenty of opportunities to make up some time and lose it as well. The green flag is out. The drivers are on their way, and he's already down in 29th. What's going on involving Ian Joyner in the 8th? This has been a disaster start for him. I'm not even sure if he took to the grid. Either way, that's going to be Adam Thompson in the number 17, leading them. Look at that from Antonio Reese in the 914. He finds himself in P2 overall, top running in a Masters Racers. Buchanan slotted in third. Lots of drivers already making up some moves. Primarily Edgar Sanchinelli, who's already made up 5 spots, running down to 15.
Yeah, it looks like perhaps Ian Joyner did not take the start there, Ron. I think you are correct, and that's going to, promote a couple drivers up quickly. And, for us as the viewers here, we're going to hopefully get to see Ian Joyner try to make his way through the field right from the very back today. So that's the almost first to last challenge for him today.
Yeah, that is going to be a first to last challenge. It's a challenge that if any driver is going to attempt it, it's going to be Ian Joyner, but in a series as competitive as the Weekend Warriors, that's a foundation built on quicksand more than anything else. I believe Joyner has joined this race. See what I did there? There he is. He's heading his way through Hinderbrook of turn number 12 right now. He finds himself, still very early doors, mind you, but he finds himself in 28th. This is not the way that Ian Joyner probably wanted this race to go for him at all. But again, as I said, if any driver is going to attempt this, it's going to be a driver like Joyner, who already has 2 checkered flights in the season and has a somewhat comfortable championship lead. But just because he's got Thompson's already pulling away, so it's not going to be a last and first challenge that's successful for Ian Joyner. Thompson's, that's actually a rather long pit stop, 42.3 seconds. So Thompson's very lucky that he built up that gap in the early stages. Otherwise, he finds himself in a world of hurt, and Antonio Reese going to get swallowed up by the field up to that.
Yeah, unfortunately, it looks like that one didn't quite work out for Antonio. We know, him and Jorg were pretty much nose to tail there before this round of pit stops, and now he's got 2 cars in between them. So that may seal the deal for Antonio and Jorg battle here, as well as we see, some people really benefiting from this pit stop cycle here, Ron. And a bunch of people diving in all at once there. Adam Thompson's just absolutely massive.
Yeah, even with that very long. Well, hello and good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Slow Motion Broadcasting. Welcome back to the Formula Ford Weekend Warriors. This is round number 5 of the season, coming to you today from Thruxton. My name is Ron Maunz, and alongside me, working the comms and the cams, is Adam Thompson. We're snacking on fish and chips again as we continue our UK tour with one of the newest tracks on the iRacing platform. Thruxton is an oddball of a circuit. It's quick, but it's about as stray as a limp French fry. There really won't be any points of this track for these drivers to rest, and doubling that with the rain that you can see right now, this is probably going to be one of the most demanding races of this entire season. But we are coming in a little bit late towards the end of qualifying right now, and we'll briefly run through how things are looking in this qualifying session. Ian Joyner, who's been really dominant thus far this season in the Spec 1 category, currently on our overall and Spec 1 pole. Jason Green currently slated to join him on the front row. We've got all Masters row number 2 with Monty and Reese, and we also have the top running Spec 2 driver, which I'll touch on in a little bit. But let's talk about the points as we're still in the dying stages of this qualifying session. Ian Joyner, as I said a couple of moments ago, has been pretty fast all throughout the season. Went into the season thinking that he would be the championship favorite, and while he does have 2 wins thus far this season, it hasn't been total smooth sailing. He's currently in the championship lead. Tortolo right behind, though, is not going to be with us. He's out running a go-kart in Japan, so we'd like to wish Tolo nothing but the best as he has that adventure at a track right by Fuji Speedway, funnily enough, but he finds himself in P2. Kevin Adrian slotted in 3rd. Michael McConnell and Jason Green running at your top 5 in the Spec 1 standings. Gonna move on to Spec 2 now, and it's Chef Jacobson leading that class at the moment. Already has 3 victories thus far this season, including one week ago at Alton Park. Finds himself in the championship lead over Jeff Wubker in the 309, Boris Espin, the German, in the 213, going to round out your top 3 in Spec 2. And now we're going to move on to Masters, and this has been a story of absolute dominance with York Monty. He has taken every single Masters win thus far this season. Antonio Reese finds himself 115 points back of York Monty. However, we may end up seeing some shuffling between these two racers in this race today. Only time will tell. Guys, they have a somewhat small grid, and we've got a full formation lap, unlike what we saw with the Formula Vs yesterday. So, I have a little bit more time. I also think we need to break out the WD-40 there a little bit with the the championship standings stuck on the top of the screen. But nevertheless, Ian Joyner in the number 8 car going to be starting this race from the pole. Jason Green going to join him on the front row. Jorg Monty and Antonio Reese, the front two in the Masters standings, going to complete an all-Masters second row. Then we have Trent Kramer in the number 20 car in 5th. Chris Montgomery in the 313 going to take your Spec 2 pole position, starting this race in 6th overall. Then we have Kevin Adrian in 7th. Michael McConnell will be starting from the 8th starting spot. Boris Espin in 9th. Guido Marzucchi, after getting his first Spec 1 win in the Formula V Weekend Warriors yesterday, he's going to be starting this race as a Spec 2 driver with the Formula Fords, running at your overall top 10. Then we have Sander Verbruge, the newcomer to the Weekend Warriors world, the Dutch driver in the number 11 car, Verbruge, a very nice name. He's going to be starting at 11th. Jeff Wubker in 12th. Soren Gerrits in P13. John Thompson 14th. Jim Brewster in 15th. Daniel Tufts in 16th. Bill Walker in P17. Paul Jackson in P18. Russ Telker and Edward Buchanan going to round out your top 20 and also round out your 20 starters in this 5th race of the Formula Ford Weekend Warriors season. I will note at this point in time to anyone who's ready to, I don't know, stab me in my jugular with an olive fork. Adam is with us on the broadcast, getting some technical issues sorted out behind the scenes. So you'll be stuck hearing my voice for a little bit as we still have this formation lap set to begin in a couple of moments. I'm going to say Ian Joyner and Jason Green. Are they fashionably late or just late? I'm not too sure about the manners of that, but there we go. There's Jason Green. Perfect timing. Still waiting for Edgar Buchanan and Ian Joyner to join the starting grid. Gotta say one thing as well that we have talked about occasionally, and I should probably send him a message because he is a driver who I've covered many a race with. That being James Berry, the reigning 2-time Spec 1 champion here from the Formula Ford Weekend Warriors, just not joining us throughout the season, but not joining us is going to be Ian Joyner. He's missed the start for the second week in a row, so the driver of the number 8 car really giving himself no advantage at all. He's going to be starting in stone cold last. I mean, it's 20th, so it's not too bad, but speaking of bad, look at those track conditions. Holy cow. iRacing, loading into the session, it said that iRacing, the weather forecast was set to be like no rain in the forecast at all. Then I load into the session and it's raining cats and dogs. So clearly iRacing working their simulation magic to prove that even in iRacing, the weather forecasts are about as inaccurate as they could possibly get. iRacing currently marking the track as very lightly wet. We'll say track temperature is at 61 degrees Fahrenheit, ambient temperature being at about 65. Relative humidity currently 88%, which not too much of a shock considering the track is absolutely soaked and all the spray coming off the back of these race cars, but certainly a lot better than the weather conditions I'm dealing with at the present moment. Full transparency, folks, where I am situated at the present moment in the city of Philadelphia, we've got snowstorm blowing through us right now. It's currently, the feels like it's 29. It's 35 out there at the present moment, and we're expected to get about 4 inches of snow, I believe, which, it being the city of Philadelphia, will completely grind the city to an absolute halt. But I will take a brief pause for the cause here for a little bit to collect my thoughts and brace ourselves for what's going to be a really good race around this track. 12 corners in all, a click under 2.5 miles, and we saw a pretty damn good race with the Formula V Weekend Warriors yesterday here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. To all you who tuned into that broadcast, I hope you enjoyed it because that was an absolute riot, that race, especially coming to the checkered flag. Good Lord, we had 4 cars battling for the win, ended up becoming 2, and Cosmic Debt hitting Jason Green as he and Jorg Monty, who funnily enough will be making up the front row when we grab the green in a couple of moments here, they came to blows in this very same section of the racetrack yesterday for the Formula V. So who knows, maybe lightning is going to strike twice, or we're just going to have a really good race up towards the front. We'll say as well, Buchanan and Joyner, neither neither of them have taken to the formation lap, so they will be starting for the pits if they will be starting at all. I'll take a quick look to see whether or not Buchanan is in the session. I don't believe he is. So going to have 19 starters. Only 18 of them out on the racetrack at the present moment, but this is still going to be an absolute whirlwind of a day here on SMB. We've got the Formula Fords now, we've got the Spec Racer Fords coming up tomorrow, and I hope you all will stay tuned throughout the rest of today's action. But we're ready to get things up and rolling from the 5th race of the season. The green flag is on, the drivers are on their way. It's not a good start for Jason Green at all. He's already getting shuffled back, and you can see a big crash heading down into turn number 1. Multiple cars coming to blows out. Soren Garrett making contact and popping up into the air. Thankfully, though, no major drama. That I believe was Garrett and Verbruge, unless I'm very much mistaken. No, actually, I believe it may have been Verbruge and Boris Esman. My apologies there, folks. But still, big contact heading down into turn 1. But heading through the first chicane for the first time, it's Jörg Mani in the lead of this race. Trent Kramer in P2, Jason Green running out your podium runners in 3rd at the moment. Kevin Adrian slide in 4th, and Chris Montgomery running right behind Antonio Reese is currently your leader in Spec 2. Got a lot of Spec 2 drivers up and down the grid, mainly that pack of Montgomery, Espen, and Verbruge, which is going to be a real compelling fight all throughout today's racing action. But I think at this point in time, I can focus. And Adam, I think you have you've come out of the I'm trying to think of the best way. You've come out of the dungeon of technical issues. So welcome here to the broadcast. Oh, I think the technical issues coming back to bite us in the butt yet again. We apologize for that, folks. I could hear Adam very briefly there, but I don't believe Adam could be heard by all of you tuning into this broadcast. So we'll try and get that sorted out here real quick. I will say, Adam, it's not your company anymore, so I don't think you'll have a problem with this. But if push comes to shove and I have to do this whole broadcast by myself, I will add in a bag of cough drops into my January invoice. But I think those technical issues are sorted out, and I think you're with us here on the broadcast. Hello there, Adam.
You've got me, Ron. Sorry about that, guys. I may or may not have woken up a little late this morning. Blame the SMB Ray Esports Daytona 24 we did yesterday that ended at about 4 o'clock in the morning my time this morning, so I haven't gotten much sleep, but I'm here anyways, and I apologize. As you can see, we got logos. One of the logos at the top right, the Ray Esports one, is a little bit wonky. I'll fix that here in just a bit, but the race looks like it got off to a pretty clean start, Ron, all things considered for Thruxton, but I'm starting to see already some gaps starting to form here. We're looking at Chris Montgomery right now in S2, is starting to fall off the back of Antonio Reese, the last driver in that first pack, and second place in the Masters.
Yeah, that front pack is very much beginning to pull away. You got Trent Kramer now leading it over Jörg Mani, the leader in the Masters category. Green, Adrian, and Reese completing that top 5 as it stands currently. 1.6 seconds now the gap between Reese and Montgomery. So we may have to talk about that gap slowly but surely building between now and the end. Oh boy, perfect time to get hiccups between now and the end of this race. We'll note as well, oh my God, why am I getting hiccups? The worst possible time. Ian Joyner, though, has joined the race. Oh,
what's happening?
Yee howdy. I think there we go. Some shuffling going on. So it's now John Tunt, now Jeff Walker, now Bill Walker, now Darth Stalker, now Paul Jackson. Oh boy. Now Trent Kramer's back in the lead. There we go. Beautiful stuff. This happens once every 9 years. Ian Joyner, though, I was just going to mention the fact he rejoined the race. I think our live timing software may have had a minor bit of a moment there as he was marked as 1 lap down not terribly long ago. He's now up to 13, so he has joined this race despite starting on the pit. Still down 12 spots from where he started. However, already up to lucky number P13. Not too bad of a start for Joyner.
No, it's not at all considering starting from the pits, but Joyner's got a long way to go. Now, this is a 40-minute race, so he can definitely get there, but the problem is he's going to have to make some moves, and as we have known with Thruxton, it is a bit difficult. There's about 2 spots where you can make moves, but there's really only 2 spots you break on this track. But with the rain, that might change things a little bit here, Ron. So Joyner now up into 12th place, and I've just realized I don't have trading paints turned on, so I apologize. I'll get that turned on, because I'm wondering why I don't know. A lot of these liveries don't look the same. So I'll go ahead and get that turned on here in just 1 second. But yes, with the rain, that could help Ian Joyner, actually, Ron.
Yeah, don't worry about the paint schemes. That's quite all right. Some of the cars looking a little bit funky with that, the trading paints on, but still, nevertheless, doesn't look as bad as some cream cheese I saw in the back of my fridge a couple of days ago.
Oh, no.
Jason Green currently holding on to the fast lap of the race at the moment, running in third in the midst of this pack, which is still breaking away from Chris Montgomery, and actually then some, as it's now 3 seconds between Reese in fifth and Montgomery in sixth. So slowly building up that gap, and I will mention the fact that this pack behind, not really a pack, it's just a small trickle of cars as it stands currently. Got Montgomery running a sixth. You have to go a second back to find Soren Garrett. Then about 3/4 of a second back to Verbruge in the 233 car. Then you also have to find Michael McConnell 1.8 seconds back of Verbruge in ninth. So a little bit spread out behind the front five, but the front five still giving us some great battles to talk about. Spec 2, we may end up seeing a battle here, and I will note something that's not really been something we've talked about thus far in this broadcast, and I say something I haven't mentioned on this broadcast, as Adam's been worrying about the technical issues, and I haven't really given him the chance to get a word in edgewise. Jeff Jacobson not out here on the track, so it's not going to be a fourth win for him yet. Keyword being yet, because we'll still have 6 races after this one.
Yeah, absolutely. There's plenty of time left, and Jeff, obviously, there are 4 drop weeks, and Jeff is using one of those this week. So Jeff still looking okay here. Doesn't really need to race here. And you know, one thing I'm surprised about is the turnout here this afternoon, or this morning, I guess for me, Ron, is for Thruxton, because a lot of people did enjoy Thruxton. Very, very drafty. But looking here at the front, speaking of drafty, it's just looking like Jason Green and Jorg Mani are starting to get a little bit, what's the word? Feisty up there, but trying not to let Trenton Kramer drive away. And this is a good thing for Trenton Kramer. The Ian Joyner is now up into 10th place. He's back there, though. You can see him. He's coming. He's not that far off.
Yeah, that's a little bit surprising. And also just set the fast lap of the race in the process. Now getting the move done on Michael McConnell coming out of turn number 6 to slip his way up into 9. So Ian Joyner certainly not out of the discussion at all in terms of drivers we may expect to be up towards the front. And keep in mind as well, we have some pit stops to worry about. The rain is still on the track, so we could see a lot of stuff go on between now and the checkered flag. We could see, an asteroid come down to the infield. We could end up seeing some drivers get struck by lightning. Barry the flag man could just run across the track naked. We don't know what's going to happen between now and the end of this race, but certainly knowing it for sure is the fact that Ian Joyner going to try and continue on a streak that he's had this season. That was very ill timing of me to say that after I mentioned the thing with Barry the Flagman a couple of moments ago. But Ian Joyner, he's won the odd-numbered races thus far. He won at Silverstone to kick the season off, did not win at Brands Hatch, did win at Snetterton, though. In those even-numbered races, he's had some sort of bad luck throughout them. Brands Hatch at a pretty ill-timed pit stop, I believe, and I think he also got a penalty on pit entry, which caused him to drop down like a rock. And then Oulton Park last time out did not take the start. Didn't take the start again here today, so Ian Joyner doing his best impression of me as a middle schooler, because I had really bad time management problems back then.
Yeah, well, I still have time management problems. So, yeah, Ian Joyner still doing what he's got to do here. Trying to look. Xander Verbruge, a new driver, doing a great job, actually. Sitting up here in 8th, right on the back. I know you've talked about him, right on the back of Chris Montgomery, coming in guns blazing here, Ron.
Yeah, he is coming in hot. Let's see if he'll be able to get the move done in the not-too-far-off future. Here we go, side by side, heading into the final chicane. Will it be an overtake from Ian Joyner? It will be an overtake from Ian Joyner as Jorg Mani sets the fastest lap of the race, this time by. Those lap times are tumbling at this point, Adam. Clearly, the track slowly but surely starting to dry up. I wouldn't say it's bone dry yet, but clearly the ShamWow guy must have taken a visit to Thruxton, because that water is slowly but surely getting swept away, and Ian Joyner finding the pace with it as he's going to get a move done on Chris Montgomery, heading off into the first chicane at the beginning of the 7th lap. Joyner now running in 7th as a man on a mission.
We're going to hang out in Ian Joyner's in-car here. It's because Tam was asking how difficult it is to draft in the rain, and I want you to see this, Tam. There's not that much rain on the track, but as Joyner starts getting closer and closer to the back of Soren Garrett, you will see how much more difficult it is to spot your braking points, and Joyner getting a little bit loose, a little bit wide there, taking different lines than Soren Garrett. But look, as he gets closer and closer, it is tougher and tougher to see where he's going. Kind of like that. Storen did not leave him enough room, but with the track being slick like that, it is still going to be tough for Joyner to make that move around the outside, but he over-unders him, and there he goes.
There we go. Ian Joyner getting that move done to slip his way up into 6th. Still holds the fastest lap of the race now to 122.876. I'm curious, Adam, if we could possibly hold on to this camera shot for a little bit as I go through some of the lap times that Ian Joyner has done as of late. Last time by, of course, at a 122.8. The time before that, he was at 123.5. So these drivers are finding the pace lap after lap. And last time by, despite the fact he wasn't quicker than his time before, it's still a hell of a lot quicker than some of the previous laps he set in this race. The first time he has on the board was a 126.4. So to shut off about 4 seconds in the span of just a couple of laps really speaks volumes to how quickly this racetrack is improving. But that is a worldly amount of pace from Ian Joyner, and I think if he plays his cards right, he may find himself in a really good spot come time for the end of this race. Gotta say though, looking through, what's happened to Antonio Reese? He was running in 5th. He's now down in 12th.
Well,
so what in the world has happened to the driver of the 914 car?
Where you're asking me questions that I don't have answers to for you yet, Ron, and I'm looking through our live timing screen here, and all I see is Antonio Reese entering the pit lane. Let's see if he has damage. We'll go back and watch this replay. Let's see if he's got any damage.
Yeah, let's see if it is a pit for damage or whether or not he's actually made the conscious call to come down pit lane. Of course, in the Formula Ford and Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors, you do have to come into the pits at some point, and looks like that race car's rather clean. I mean, you can take one quick look into my bedroom to know what I think clean is, but that car still looks pretty all right. So I don't know. I think maybe just an early call to come into the pits from Reese in the rain. It should be noted that usually you think, okay, yeah, the pit window opens probably about 10 minutes in. But in the rain, that kind of allows these drivers to go a bit longer on their fuel stints. So that may not be too bad of a call from Antonio Reese.
Yeah, I don't think it is. He may be pulling a page out of the Stevie Ray playbook here. First one to pit. That means pits are open. And Antonio used to do this quite a bit, Ron. I know there was a time before you came back onto the Weekend Warriors broadcasts that Antonio Reese was pitting very, very early, but he stopped doing that because he cut it too close a few times and had to either run it out of fuel or come back into the pits again for a second stop. So we'll see if that was maybe Antonio Reese's strategy to come in and come back out. It's a weird strategy to take around a track like this, but I've doubted Antonio Reese before, and I can tell you there's one person I will never doubt again, and that's him.
Yeah, Antonio Reese certainly proving to be a better mathematician than I am when it comes to these pitch strategy calls. If I was a driver in this series, have it be known that I'd probably be running out of fuel week in and week out. But these racers still giving us a good fight up towards the front. Actually breaking away a little bit is Trent Kramer and Jorg Monty. Jason Green now second behind Monty, and you have to go back 2 seconds to find Kevin Adrian. I'm looking through to try and find some of the other cars that we saw involved in the... Oh boy, the hiccup's coming back to bite me in the butt here. Holy cow. I'm trying to figure out who's the other car involved in that top 4. It's now dropped back a little bit and broken away. We'll say Ian Joyner, though, closing up that gap dramatically. He's reeling him in. I think if we listen very, very faintly here, Adam, we can hear the Jaws theme start to play.
Yeah, absolutely. And Ian doing a great job right now, obviously up in, it says he's down 4 positions because he started from the pits, but yeah, doing a great job right now. And Ron, we're going to do something here that we haven't done. And we're going to go through the field from Joyner all the way back because we've got a very special sponsor this afternoon for the Formula Fords, and it is the Weekend Warrior members. So I believe some of these drivers chipped in to make this one happen. So we're going to go through the field and cover at least a little bit of everybody.
Yeah, let's absolutely do that. Still got 15 racers out there on track. We'll say Antonio Reese has run into some difficulties, so I think my commentator Shinks may have come back to bite him on the butt. Here's Soren Garrett running in 6th place as it stands at the moment in the number 21 car, a Weekend Warrior staple over the past couple of seasons. Had a win, looking through, I don't believe it has been this season. It may have been over on the Spec Racer Ford side of things where you can catch him as well, but he's currently running 6th place as it stands at the moment. Currently holds the his fastest lap of the race being a 123.238. So we'll have to keep tabs to see how he's doing. Here's Chris Montgomery, the Spec 2 leader in the 313 car, running in 7th as it stands at the moment. He's got a 2.5 second gap, back to the Bruges in the 233 car. Trusting that sends 5 times fast. That or I'm just a bad commentator. But Montgomery putting on a pretty good drive as it stands at the moment for Bruges. A little bit slower in terms of their best laps of the race, but he's still keeping tabs with him somewhat, but doesn't want to drop back too much, as right behind Sander Rouge, a newcomer to the Weekend Warrior Series. I believe he made his Formula V debut yesterday and making his Formula Ford debut here today, I believe. Certainly a man who's been around the block in the Weekend Warriors world before is Michael McConnell in the number 62 car, currently running in 9th as it stands at the moment, about a second and a half back of Sander Verbruge, so they end up seeing a battle there. And there we go, Guido Marzuki. Adam, how pleased were you to see Guido grab his first Spec 1 win in his time in the Formula V Weekend Warrior Series yesterday?
Well, I was hanging on for my life in a Ferrari GTP when Jason came in and told me, so I did not give Guido the respect he deserves yesterday, because like right now, it was raining in that race as well. So let's just give Guido, I don't know what they do in Italy. Do they clap the same? I don't know if you can hear this. I think you might have been able to hear that, but that's an American clap for the Italian, Guido Marzuki, obviously doing a great job in the Formula Vs yesterday. I heard it was an absolutely amazing battle between himself and a few other drivers, including Jason Green. So congrats, Guido. You deserve it, man. So yeah, I'm going to say it. I love you, buddy. Moving on to 11th, we've got Jim Brewster sitting up 4 positions, doing a great job right now. Quiet. There's not many times that I could say Jim is quiet, but right now he's had a quiet race. We haven't really talked about him that much. His sister in the chat there, Tam, watching. Sorry, Tam, we haven't covered your brother as much as we normally do, but Jim is not involved in a battle at the moment, sitting just outside of the top 10. In second place, though, in Masters because of Antonio Reese having some issues there. But John Toms sitting back there in third in the Masters class, doing a great job as well. Paul Jackson in 13th. Looks like he is 4th overall in class with Bill Walker. I'm sorry, Bill Walker in 14th, 5th overall in class. Paul Jackson is 4th overall in class. What am I doing right now? Yes, I'm getting all confused here. Bill Walker in 14th, Jeff Wupker rounding out your top 15, Ron.
Yeah, it's quite all right. There is some very odd gapping going on all throughout this field. Bill Walker, I believe, already a lap down to the overall leader of the race, which is Jurg Mani. But Jeff Wubker, who are following right now in the 309 car, is running at your top 15, but not actually, as I say that, Bill Walker dropping down the running order. I think he may have just had an off-track moment a few moments ago. That's going to drop him down in the 319 car. He is now the last place runner of the cars that are still left in this race. Boris Esman, who I was going to mention a couple of moments ago, in the 213 car. He's had a pretty decent season thus far, has the German. Getting dicey in terms of these battles. I believe he made his Weekend Warriors debut last season, and now in his first full-time season in the Formula Fords, looking to try and impress in the other 213 car, running down to 15th as it stands at the moment. Bill Walker, who we were following a couple of moments ago, not having a very clean drive presently, but he rounds out the 16 cars that are still left out on the racetrack. But at the north end of the field, it's Jurg Mani who's leading it overall and in the Masters category. We saw yesterday with the Formula V's Ethan Ora Spec 2 man taking the overall checkered flag. So who knows, maybe this is the weekend. I mean, in fairness, it is freezing cold in the city of Philadelphia, so I guess it is fair to say that hell has frozen over. The fact we had a non-Spec 1 winner win yesterday in the Formula V's, we may have deja vu again here with the Formula Fords.
Don't let Michelle Lynn hear you say that. Michelle is in the chat right now, and she might actually like the city of Philly, Ron, and I've heard we've chatted a little bit about this, and Michelle does not live that far from you, Ron, so I'd be very, very careful, buddy.
I mean, I will be, I mean, in my full honesty, I've lived in this city for the entirety of the 20 plus years that I've been on planet Earth, so I think I will also contest the fact that I'm in a rather nice part of the city of Philadelphia. I'm just like barely in the city limits by like probably like 3/4 of a mile, but still I've been around the block enough, and I encountered enough bad drivers when I was going on a drive in it was Fishtown, the Fishtown part of the city of Philadelphia
Fishtown.
on Friday. I say this knowing fully well that it means absolutely nothing to a vast majority of the people tuning into this broadcast, but I saw some bad drivers on that trip enough to know that we've got some maybe hell's best drivers in the city of Philadelphia.
Well, if you ask Michelle, all of those bad drivers from Philly show up when she shows up to the iRacing track because those falling anvils like to go find her. But we're not talking about Michelle. We're talking about Trenton Kramer right now, trying to track down Jason Green. It looked like Jason was actually starting to close that gap to Yorgmani, but he's starting to fall back off the pace again. He has gotten by Trenton, so Trenton's really been the one that's been falling off the pace. But here's a driver right here, Ron. Remember when I said it might be tough? I was just kidding. He's already about only 4 seconds off the lead, if that. Probably even closer to 3 right now.
There's only one thing that pops into my mind when I look at the Ian Joyner number 8 car running in 4th, despite the fact he started this race all the way at the back, starting from the pits. I remember one time razzing through Craigslist, as every sane human being does, and finding a listing for a 1-ounce IV bag full of rocket fuel being sold in New Jersey. I think Ian Joyner may have bought that because, holy cow, he is a man on a mission. Last time by, well, his current best lap of the race is a 121.428. I cannot confirm nor deny that was his last lap. Actually, his last lap, I'm looking through, was a little bit slower than that, about half a second off, but still very, very quick. Even his last time was a lot quicker than the drivers in front of him. I'll just compare best laps as it stands at the moment. He is still over a half a second quicker in terms of his best lap than Trenton Kramer, Jason Green, and Yorgmani. So Ian Joyner at this point in time, he's a man on a mission, but he doesn't want to push that car too hard, and he doubles down on the fifth lap of the race in the process. Holy cow.
Yeah, 121.223 for Joyner. The closest one in those top 3 that are anywhere close to him right now is Jason Green, and that is not going to be enough with just a little less than 20 minutes to go. Ian Joyner has already closed this gap all the way in, but now you can see Jason starting to pull in Yorgmani. Now I wonder if these drivers have now all of a sudden looked in their rearview mirror and they can see that bright yellow Formula Ford getting bigger and bigger and bigger. It is time to get a move on it.
Yeah, I think these drivers may be slightly panicked at this point in time, just seeing that car hove into view, peeking its way through the, not the smoke, the mist. There we go. We haven't had any sort of moments in which there's a lot of smoke coming off the back of these cars, but certainly is a lot of mist. iRacing still. Well, how in the world did Ian Joyner hold on to that?
Unbelievable. That was unbelievable driving by Ian Joyner there. Maybe a bit of a Code Brown moment, but he is still on the racetrack and still trying to track these guys down.
I think I spoke in tongues there, seeing that car of Ian Joyner go off the track. I'm not sure what came out of my mouth, but still, holy crap, the fact that Ian Joyner was able to hold on to that car is an absolute Christmas miracle, coming about a month late, but Ian Joyner still running in 4th. Right as I was going to mention a couple of moments before the fact, he doesn't want to take it too aggressive and hard. He's still got about half of this race left to go. Gotta say, this race absolutely flying by, but still, you don't want to have moments like that every single lap, because as much as you can slide out of moments like that, there's no chance in the world that you want to have moment after moment, lap after lap, even corner after corner, because that would be a very uncomfortable existence if you were Ian Joyner. I think he got away with one there. I think at this point in time, as I take a look, as any true broadcaster professional does, and realize that Adam is currently away grabbing some water. Oh, there we go. Perfect timing there. I was ready to pass it off to you. Then I took a look at the message you sent me, and I was like, oh, boy, I got to blabber off again, pull the Chatty Cathy string that's sticking out of my back. But Ian Joyner, I was just going to mention the fact that Joyner should probably think about taking it slightly easy. We still got those pit stops to worry about, but I think at this point, Ian Joyner may be yielding that advice, that or he's just taking a small little break before he reels back and sucker punches the drivers in front of him.
Well, he's going to have to... The thing with sucker punching the drivers in front of him here is I think he can see what's happening in front of him. And there's a battle going on between Jason Green and Trenton Kramer right now. So he's probably trying to evaluate where he's going to try to get around these two drivers who are battling. Looks like he tries to find a nose there. He is now on the back of Trenton Kramer. Now, the one thing that you have to think about here is you start getting up into this faster group of cars. gets a bit more difficult to pass, and this is exactly what Jorg Monty wants to see. He wants to see some battling, trying to hold Ian Joyner up. Looks like Jason Green loses a little bit there, gets a little bit wide. He's now up to 1.2 seconds between himself and Jorg Monty, but this is what Jorg wants. He wants these drivers battling. Is Trenton Kramer's off the track? That is not going to be good for Jorg Monty, because that's going to give Ian Joyner, oh my goodness, Trenton Kramer, hold on to it, buddy.
Another code brand moment befalling the driver of the number 20 car right after Ian Joyner had a few left to go, and Jason Green having his own code brand moment coming out of the corner. He's going to get stopped, but unfortunately for him, he's going to lose out on boatload time in the process. I was just going to mention how we were maybe going to have a clean sweep of the drivers in the top 4 having their own respective code brand moments, but that was almost comically timed. The fact that Jason Green had this moment, let's ride on board with him. Heading through turn number 8. All good through there, hits the paint, and whoop, there we go. Spinning around, he got sideways, then got sideways the other way, and gets it locked up. I think Jason Green is very lucky that he didn't get T-boned by one of the cars coming up to him, because it very well could have ended that way.
Yeah, that was a good job by Jason holding those brakes. You know, when we say hold your brakes, normally we mean hold your brakes, especially after you're stopped on the racetrack, but that car was not stopping, so it is clearly still very wet, and those painted lines are causing some issues.
Hold your brakes and change your britches in a moment like that. That's the only way that you can recover from a moment like that. What in the world has happened here? Jorg Monty now in second. Ian Joyner has been able to take the lead of this race. Let's take a look at it. Jorg Monty heading his way off, coming out of turn number 1, about to head his way off into the first chicane of Campbell, turn number 2. And let's see, you can see heading through the corner and sideways. And that's going to allow Ian Joyner to slip into the race lead.
You know, Ron, you haven't said it yet this afternoon, but you know, normally you say sideways, slideways, and that is exactly what's happening to these drivers right now, as they are getting slidey. I'm wondering if this track is getting, I wonder how the track conditions are changing, Ron. I don't know if you can get into your, call your local weatherman, or not your local guy, but call the European weatherman and let me know what's going on with the weather, if it's changing for the worse or the better, and these changing track conditions are starting to catch a lot of these drivers out.
I will, now that it seems like this race is kind of settling down for now, I say that knowing fully well that things may turn to absolute pandemonium in the not too far off future. I will give a brief little weather report. High, 65. Chance of rain, 0%. This track is clear at this point in time. I mean, it's still marked by iRacing as very lightly wet. Actually, now I need to do this in the other Weather Channel voice. iRacing currently marks the track as very lightly wet, but you can still see the moisture's at there. There's no rain coming down, though, making the matter worse. I'm looking through at the iRacing weather radar, and it's totally gray. It's like looking in the bathroom of a modern-day McDonald's. It is completely gray looking on the radar. There is nothing in terms of weather cells that are going to be hitting this track, and actually looking through, the highest chance of precipitation, seeming to be a word that I cannot say on the air today, is about 1%, and that's coming up in about 2 hours time on in Sims. So that's not going to be a factor at all. So at this point in time, it is drying up. However, these drivers now going to have to deal with a very much so wet track surface in the form of pit lane. Holy cow! Jorg Monty coming in.
Yes, and that's something I wanted to mention here. But hey, real quick, Ron, what's your local station out there? Your local TV station.
Local TV station. So we've got we've got 4. We've got the Fox affiliate, Fox 29. We've got the CBS affiliate of CBS 3. We've also got the NBC affiliate of Channel 10 and the ABC affiliate of Channel 6 Action News. So that's
so this is Ron the Weatherman coming to you from Channel 6 Action News. If you can't make it in broadcasting, Ron, I think you can make it as a weatherman broadcaster. I think you got this, bud.
I think originally to kick off, David Letterman used to be a weatherman way back in the days in Indiana. So that, I don't know, maybe if that comes to pass, I'll have like my own CBS comedy show, which would probably get canceled like 3 episodes in. But still, oh boy, may have just called my own career downfall there. Joyner holding on to this race lead following Jason Green, who's running in second. York Monty slipping down to third as a result of that run through the pits. Still in front of Trent Kramer, though, so I think Kramer, did he come into the pits? I don't believe he did. I think he may have taken a quick little trip to Timbuktu based off the fact he lost out on that much time. And as we see Jason Green now making that call to come into the pits, and Sander Verbruge, who's now taking the lead in Spec 2.
Yeah, absolutely. You're going to see where exactly Trenton ended up in Timbuktu. Did he find a wall? No. See, man, I wish a GTP would stop that fast on the wet grass. But anyways, we're not talking about the Daytona 24 anymore. But yes, Trenton Kramer did save it, but found himself somewhere not on Thruxton anymore. He was, I don't know where Thruxton is in the UK, but he found himself a little closer to another city and not the city he was supposed to be driving the track on.
I will get back to you on that, Adam.
Okay. Sounds great. Thank you, Ron. But looking through here,
I've got to look this up now. I'm curious.
Looking through here quickly, we've got Verbruge now has taken the lead, but that's because Chris Montgomery has taken his pit stop. So Verbruge still has not stopped yet. So keep an eye on Verbruge here, because this is going to be close, and it's going to be tight here to see when and how Verbruge enters these pits. And Sander, I do hope I am saying your name right. It sounds, no pun intended, I promise, very bougie the way I'm saying it. So I hope I'm saying it correctly. But yes, Verbruge sitting right now in 5th position. When he stops, Chris Montgomery should inherit the lead again, as long as there's no issues. Looks like Jason Green and Trenton Kramer going at it. Trenton Kramer off the track again.
And you could see the run through the grass from Trent Kramer going off the circuit yet again. In that off-track excursion heading into the final chicane, he nearly ended up in Amesbury. And here heading through turn number 8, gonna spin off the track in dramatic fashion. Pulls off a nice 360, though, so credit where credit's due to Kramer, kind of skidding around like an actually okay figure skater here. And let's see, certainly not ideal to have this happen in a Formula Ford, and another code brand moment hang through turn number 8, which has to be the toughest corner in conditions like this, because you're going in there licking the stamp and just absolutely sending it. So another wild off-track encounter for Trent Kramer.
Yep, it was, that's for sure. But Trenton able to hold on to it, doing what he had to do to make that happen. Yes, style points for the Gator, says Tam. That, you know what? That is very true. Trenton has one of the most fitting paint jobs for a racetrack and track conditions like this.
I gotta say, though, I feel like if I saw an alligator in any place in the UK at all, I feel like I would have a heck of a lot of questions, in the same way that I feel like if I saw beans on toast at a diner here in the US, I would definitely have a lot of questions, and I will leave it at that. Yeah, my thoughts exactly. Trent Kramer, though, running in 5th at the present moment, and going in the racetrack. Meanwhile, back up at the front of the field, York Monty and Ian Joyner side by side, battling for the race lead. This is going to be intense between these two. The bunny hop from Joyner heading through the chicane, 2 bunny hops. In fact, he may pick up a slowdown talking about that final chicane, which is about as clunky as you could possibly get. I swear, honestly, here, Adam, I feel like falling down a flight of stairs in a full body cast would be smoother than that final chicane.
Yeah, and I'm surprised. I mean, Joyner took a lot of curb there, which is very, very brave in the track conditions that we have. He was able to get through it okay. Impressive, impressive stuff from Ian Joyner there. But now he's got some lap traffic of Paul Jackson to deal with, and I'm wondering if maybe that's why Jorg Monty has gotten so close to the back of him. Let's see what Paul Jackson does here. Jorg goes to the inside of Paul. Everything's okay there. Joyner taking that a bit of a wider line through there. Jorg trying to stick his nose in again. What is going on? Where has Jorg found this pace all of a sudden, Ron?
Yeah, Jorg Monty kicking on the Cuisinarts in the final 10 minutes of this race. Now with only less than 7 to go, Monty feeling oh so racy. He nearly tried to go for a move heading into turn number 6 a few moments ago, which would not have worked out well at all. But heading now down through Brooklands of turn number 9 into that final chicane, it's deja vu to what we saw about a lap ago. Joyner going to block off that run from Monty. Monty maybe got to try and fight again on the inside line. And look at this line from Joyner heading through that final chicane. The bunny hops of the curbs, laps. Reminds me of my time playing the old F1 games on the Xbox 360, heading through the final chicane at Montreal. These drivers certainly taking liberties when it comes to using the curves, which can go well, and could also go absolutely terribly, as Ian Joyner himself proved early on in the race when he had that code brand moment hang through turn number 8 of Church, and certainly not hoping to have a moment like that between now and the end.
Yeah, absolutely. Joyner doing a great job, though. Look at the gap he was able to pull out on Jorgmani just because of that final chicane. There are really only 2 spots where you can make or lose quite a bit of time. I mean, at least when the track is dry. When it's wet, that's a totally different story. But yeah, Joyner has found a way to get through that final chicane, unlike anybody else so far. Joyner gets very, very sideways, though, right there. But, there's one thing that I do have to say is this is an open setup race, Ron. So I'm wondering if Joyner has found a way to set that car up to be able to handle those curbs, soften up that suspension, but still leave some handling in it to be able to handle those curbs better than anybody else in the field.
That's a really good balancing act, trying to cook up a setup where you can run the curbs without having the car feel like you're driving a waterbed at 150 miles an hour. So these racers trying to find that balance as best as they possibly can. I say 150 miles an hour. That's definitely a big stretch and a big ask in a Formula Ford. I'm pretty sure a Formula Ford car has never gone 150 miles an hour, even thrown off a cliff. But still, it's a tough ask trying to cook up a setup like that. I gotta say, Trent Kramer, I think he just ran into some difficulties as he's now out of the race, having a tow back to pit lane. And I think I just saw a little bit of rain possibly heading through turn number 1. I'll touch back on that point in a couple of moments as we see this off-track encounter, which may be the last one from Kramer.
I'm telling you what, Trenton, there's a white line out there, Trenton.
Oh,
this guy has and there's my goodness, look at Jason Green is just. Speaking of a driver that we haven't really chatted about this much, but we need to chat more about, Jason has seen the side of Trenton's car way too many times this race, but Trenton decided to park at that time. Sorry we keep going back to you, Trenton, but there's really not much else going on except this battle right now. Jorgmani still trying to find a way around Ian Joyner. But another thing I wanted to mention is, did you see that last lap? Jorg decided to adapt. Jorg decided to adapt that line from Ian Joyner. Ian Joyner getting a bit blocky here.
Oh, that is a little bit risky from Ian Joyner. That may not win him any favors with Jorgmani at all. That could have ended in tears about 14,000 times. I feel bad for everyone tuning into this broadcast, as I sounded like a tornado siren a couple of moments ago, but that was oh so sketchy a few moments ago with Joyner and Monty. A matter of inches separating the two of them, and Joyner nearly running Monty all the way off into the dirt. He damn near ran him off the track. That's I'm not sure what to make of that move from Joyner, but still, these two racers, they're going to battle hard. They're going to battle tooth and nail. They've battled hard in the past, and we've got a case of deja vu here at Thruxton, but I feel like Ian Joyner is throwing everything at the wall to try and hold back Monty, as Monty is throwing everything at the wall to see if he can get that move done on Joyner. These are two racers with no dams given.
Yeah, they're doing a great job. Trenton Kramer in the chat right now. We'll get to that in 1 second. Joyner sideways. Monty is into Joyner. Joyner still sideways. What damage has that done to both of these cars? And Jason Green is now licking his chops. Hopefully, neither one of these cars got too damaged here. But Joyner, I mentioned that, through that corner most of the laps, he was getting sideways. It finally caught him out. Jorgmani now in the lead.
Monty taking the lead as Joyner gets oh so sideways, heading through turn number 6. I think if Monty's car wasn't there, Joyner would have completely looped and it would have ended up in Timbuktu in the runoff area. So thankfully for Joyner, the fact that Jorgmani's race car was there leads him to still being involved in this fight. Jason Green 14.2 seconds back. He will have to hope for a miracle, and by a miracle, he hopes that these two cars go off in a cloud of dust and steam and smoke. So unless that happens, it's got to be these two battling for the win. Will they be able to make it to the checkered flag, though, is the real question. They've been battling oh so hard. Joyner getting the move back on Monty to slip his way up into the lead of the race yet again. But Monty certainly going to be licking his chops and trying to get a good exit coming out of turn number 4. In these cars, you're essentially flat out from the exit of turn 4 all the way through into the final chicane. We saw that in the Formula V's yesterday, but with these wet weather conditions, it's very, very sketchy. Side-by-side racing around any point of this racetrack is terrifying, and these drivers looking to give us a heart attack. Oh boy, Jorgmani looking for any way in the book to get past Ian Joyner. These two have given us one heck of a fight, and the time is running out, though. We're coming to the white flag this time by here, Adam. Only one more lap of racing action and 12 more corners left for Ian Joyner to hold on, and only a few more opportunities left for Monty to try and get it done, but Joyner running wide coming out of turn number 8 yet again, hitting that curb. Every single time I see him on that curb, it's like he's touching a slip and slide with Vaseline. It is terrifying. So Joyner looking to avoid that at all costs, as Monty got to be sizing up any sort of way to get that move done. The white flag in the air. Only one more lap of racing action here from Thruxton for round number 5 of the Formula Ford Weekend Warriors, and it's Joyner in the catbird seat, but he doesn't want to have a moment that he's had over the past couple of laps. In terms of pace, though, these two drivers, they're running way above everybody else, both in terms of track position and in terms of their pace. Joyner leading his way through turn number 2 and 3, about to head their way off into turn number 4 for the last time. But he really needs to focus on the exit and try not to hit those curbs. The painted white lines, we saw that from Trent Kramer a couple of moments ago. You hit those, you're done. You're going to end up in the grass. You're going to end up with a big invoice from the Thruxton landscaping crews. But these two drivers, they don't give a crap about the paint. They just want to go for all that glory. They don't care about the spray coming off the back of their cars. They just want to be spraying some champagne at the end of this race coming up in a couple of moments' time. Joyner leading them, about to head their way off into turn number 8 for the last time. This corner has been oh so tricky for Joyner. It's been oh so tricky for many racers, but they both get through it clean. Let's see if Monty has the run. I can see that gap slowly but surely dwindling down. It's going to take some bravery, though, heading into the braking zone, the final chicane for Jorg Monty to try and get this move done to slip his way up into the race lead. That mistake from Joyner, I wouldn't rule that out either. Look at those two cars nearly bump drafting, heading through the chicane, but it's not going to be enough. Ian Joyner going from last to first to take the victory here at Thruxton. Jorg Monty going to end up in a very close but no cigar. He ends up winning in the Masters category, but finishing P2 overall. And we have a long wait for the rest of the cars to cross the start-finish line, but holy cow, that was a brilliant race from start to finish. But I think those two should be counting their lucky stars, the fact they even ended up in P1 and P2 at the end.
Yeah, it really was. Soren Garrett's now Chris Montgomery crossing the line. Michael McConnell was in the pits for quite a while. Bit of an issue there for Michael, but he will be crossing the line soon. Yes, that was unbelievable, and lucky stars. I mean, lucky for them, not lucky for Jason Green. Like I said, Jason was probably licking his chops when he heard the spotter call that there was a wreck ahead, but great race by those two. Well done. Xander Verbruge coming home in 7th place. Chris Montgomery, by the way, winner of Spec 2. Jorg Monty, winner of Masters. John Toms will be crossing the line here very shortly. We can see that the field got spread way out here, Ron.
Yeah, the field spread out quite a significant amount. I'm trying to see who may be the last car to cross the start-finish line. I believe, looking through unless I'm very much mistaken,
man right here
is going to be... Actually, I think it will actually be Boris Essman right behind him. Jim Brewster going to be second to last, and he's going to end up in 9th, third of the Masters racers. And Boris Essman going to be the last car to actually finish this race with a pretty high amount of attrition from start to finish. He had Trent Kramer in 15th, and then going all the way back, he had a lot of drivers run into some difficulties in the early stages. But Ian Joyner taking the checkered flag when everything is said and done. He wins it here at Thruxton. Was that? Oh, boy, this is... a Weekend Warriors tradition, and may God have mercy on our souls.
Let's see what's happening here. What is the plan? Jason just going straight down the runway here. Now he's turning. What's the plan here, guys? What are we doing? Whoa.
The next exit, turn right. Oh, boy, let's, we'll go look through. Oh, here we go. Okay, so we've got opposing traffic going on here. I think, mentioned me possibly being a weather reporter, may need to be a traffic reporter here as well. I'm going to zoom all the way out to see this shenanigans. Just looks like a bunch of ants crashing into each other. And here we go. Bang! McConnell into the side of Marzuki. Marzuki going to be popped up and head up upside down. There was McConnell. And let's see. We got a game of... chase going on here with Paul Jackson in the 229 car.
Oh, here we go.
And, he just took out the landscaping crew truck.
All right, let's get to the results here, Ron.
Yeah, let's get into the results before we see something that may cause me to have some sort of, like a first blood vessel in my eye from laughing so hard. Ian Joyner, though, going to certainly be happy about the fact he was able to take the win here in this race. Started from the pits, takes the checkered flag, but was not an easy day in the office at all, but he still wins it in the number 8 car. Jorg Mani going to end up in P2, so my prediction about us having a weekend full of non-spec 1 overall winners, not going to be the case, as Mani going to finish in second. He certainly was close, though he still wins it in the Masters category, though, as we have Jason Green rounding out your overall podium in third. Soren Garrett's going to finish in fourth. Chris Montgomery in the 313 car going to take your win in the Spec 2 category, finishing fifth overall. Michael McConnell in sixth. Cinder Verbruge ends up in P7. John Thompson 8th. Jim Brewster in 9th. Kevin Adrian will round at your top 10, fittingly doing so in the number 10 car. Paul Jackson will finish this race at 11th. Guido Marzuki in 12th. Jeff Wubker in 13th. Boris Espin in 14th. And Trent Kramer going to actually, Espin running out the cars that took the checkered flag. Trent Kramer rounding out your top 15 did not take the checkered flag. Neither did Bill Walker in 16th. Antonio Reese in 17th. Russ Telker in the 260 car in P18. Daniel Tufts in 19th was a first retirement. And Edward Buchanan did not take the start. But that will do it from your results here for round number 5 of the Formula Ford Weekend Warriors. But I think, Adam, we got some drivers waiting in the interview waiting area. And who would you like to bring in to have a chat?
We do, and I think I will bring in our Masters winner of Jorg Mani. Jorg, welcome in, buddy. It was an absolute knockdown, drag-out battle in what looked to be like very, very tough conditions out there today.
It was. I hate it. I hate wet. I hate rain. The bloody track I hate as well. So 3 hates.
Well, for hating the wet, hating the rain, hating the track, first of all, what do you like, Jorg? And second of all, you didn't do too bad.
Yeah, but I was just telling you before, when we saw you catching up, I told Jason and Trenton, I'm not going to make it that easy for him. And exactly at that point, I spun. So...
Well, you didn't make it easy for him to get around you the first time because of the spin, but you caught back up. So was that a play on Ian Joyner just trying to race you, or was that actual all raw pace that you got there?
That was actually raw pace. I mean, I made the best lap in that time. And that was raw pace I had. I mean, with that setup, I was in a drive with 18.5, I did. So it's still 2 seconds away from my best lap time almost. And I could follow him actually really good this time. In sections, I was actually quicker than him. But I just told him before that, you were a bit nasty today. He cut me off a few times. And
We saw that. We were wondering what you were going to be thinking about that, Jorg. But anyways, it made for a good broadcast. You guys got a little, well, let's talk about the wreck, actually. He did get sideways, and you got into the side of him there. Did that, first of all, was there any car damage? And second of all, how much breath were you holding in that moment?
Quite a lot. I almost forgot to breathe back again. So it was, and I think it had a little damage, not much, but suddenly I could, the very fast right-hander, the huge one, I could do actually quicker after that touch. I don't know why. I didn't feel anything. So, I mean, I felt it in the wheel, but I think I slowed down quite heavily. So I think I was really lucky there. And, but yeah, it was actually at the end, it was a great race.
Well,
but in the rain, it's just beep. I'm not saying more than that.
Yeah. Well, listen, we've already gotten a bunch of complaints from YouTube because of all of the S bombs that you drop. I'm kidding, by the way. We haven't gotten anything from YouTube, Jorg, but congratulations on your win here. You've got the SRFs coming up at Summit Point here in about an hour. You ready for it?
Yes, and I know exactly what's going to happen.
Good or bad?
It's going to be very bad, I think.
Wonderful.
Because you can't brake. If you touch the brake just a bit too late, you're gone. If you brake it too hard, lock up the tires.
Well, make sure to listen to your own advice, Jorg, and don't do that, buddy. But congratulations on your P2 overall, your Masters win. Anybody you want to thank or shout out before we let you go?
To everybody today. Just simply to everybody.
Awesome.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Well, thank you so much, Jorg, and we will hopefully be talking to you again soon.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys. Bye.
That was Jorg Mani there, Ron, and it looks like you've got one other driver to get in here.
Yeah, that we do. We got Ian Joyner, the winner here from this race at Thruxton, joining us in the commentary booth. Now, Ian, that looked like possibly the most hair-raising 40-minute Formula Ford Weekend Warriors race we may see from the entirety of this season. So talk us through it from your perspective.
Yeah, it did go by pretty quick. Yeah, I missed the start, mostly because I'm an idiot, really. I can't believe I did it twice in a row. It's a slightly different reason this time. I tried just maxing the fuel out before I went in, and then anyone who's played with our racing setups knows that if you get your ride out of a mess, it put my camber out. And then basically I was just clicking buttons trying to get it back into a legal setup state and missed the start. Yeah, so that was a bit annoying, but it did make for it. Yeah, fun race back. I think the wet probably helped to get through, and the draft certainly made it a definitely more exciting race, having it, especially as it was a drying track as well. So that was a lot of fun. It was yeah, nice to make it through. Although when I got to the three guys at the front, I've already spoken to them briefly, but they all kind of just seemed to fall off just as I got to them. So that was yeah, not as dramatic as I was expecting it to be. But then I had a really good race for Jörg at the end. Pretty lucky, to be honest, to hang on to that. As it dried up, I think Jörg had quite a dry setup. I had a very wet setup, so it's great in the wet, but it definitely was becoming a bit of a handful as it got drier in those fast corners. So I should really have spun, but Jörg helpfully just tapped me straight again, which kept me still in it. Yeah, and then had a close finish from there.
Yeah, that finish and that battle coming to the checkered flag between yourself and Jörg Mani was intense throughout. I mean, us in the commentary booth, I'm pretty sure I blew out my vocal cords calling that incident that you two had hang through turn number 6. I want to ask you about that as well, that sideways snap and the Mani coming in. I think I forget as to whether or not you were like ramped up on Jörg's car or whether Jörg was ramped up on your car. Either way, not the ideal line hang through turn number 6 at all. So I want to ask you about some of the hair-raising moments that were peppered all throughout the race, especially that one through turn 6 with yourself and Jörg.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that was the track sort of got harder to drive as it got drier. I think the tyres get really, really hot here, and when it was wet, it wasn't too bad. You'd struggle really to have a massive moment like that, certainly with a setup I had. But as it started to get dry through that really fast bit, and the rears were just getting really, really heated up. So I could feel that Jörg was faster. So to be honest, I probably wouldn't have done it if I hadn't had Jörg so close behind me. So credit to him putting the pressure on. And at that point when I started sliding, there was not really much I could do other than wait for the car to come to pretty well to a halt. It was only because Jörg touched my front right, he sort of just knocked me straight again, and also slowed himself down, effectively waiting for me. So he's really fortunate for me. So yeah, I did apologise to him for that, and then we just had a good battle. It's probably a little bit aggressive on the defending. We've not raced wheel to wheel for a little while, so we'll have a little chat about that. But it was, yeah, it's definitely fun. I did feel for Jörg. He was, yeah, in many ways had earned that win.
Yeah, I think that both of you deserved it, but only one man could take the checkered flag, and when everything was said and done, it was you. So well done in that regard. I will say we're going to be running yet again in the UK at Donington Park in 1 week's time. So what are your thoughts heading into that race in 1 week's time?
Yeah, I've not raced the national layout for a little while. I did do the GP layout last year in the MSUK series, which is it's pretty good fun. I think the national layout's better anyway. The chicane's a bit more sensible. So yeah, it's great combo with these cars. I don't know whether we're going to get any rain again, but yeah, it will no doubt be fun and close.
Yes, certainly expecting it to be close, and it's going to be a whole lot of fun. I gotta say, I'm with you in terms of preferring the national layouts of Donington Park to the Air National one for the simple sake that final hairpin makes me want to gouge my eyes out. But before we let you go and celebrate this win here at Thruxton today, Ian, is there anyone you want to give a thanks to or shout out?
Yes, the same as usual, really. You guys, great to be able to watch you back, and of course everybody in the league. Yeah, again, getting through there cleanly. It's got good turnout as well. New track, so I guess everyone had to buy it. And it was wet, but we still got a really good turnout. So yeah, thanks to everyone in the lead, and of course Stevie and everyone helps put it all together.
Thank you as well for joining us in the commentary booth, Ian. Well done on the victory, and excited to see you back out on the racetrack for the rest of the season, man. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, guys. Have a good day. See you later.
And that right there was Ian Joyner, and that is the last driver that we'll be able to get a chance to have an interview with. I gotta say, Adam, I think we may need to have some like snacks or like milk and cookies or something like that from like freshly baked chocolate chips or something like that. I feel like I may just need to have lunch or something like that. But I think get some snacks into the commentary booth to bring some of these drivers in. That or they're getting ready for the Spec Race of Ford race coming up later on today here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. That'll be at Summit Point. And talk about a draft fest. Holy cow. Nice little bit of deja vu from the Ray Esports Club Racing League that was broadcasted this past Wednesday here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. Got all the action here on SMB, the Spec Race of Ford Weekend Warriors coming up later on today, the Ray Esports Club Racing League on Wednesday, along with the Sim Racers Group Intermediate F4 Championship, the 6th round of that season, coming to you from Maunz. So a whole lot of action here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. But next week, Donington Park on the national layout. What are your thoughts heading into that one, Adam?
Good luck. That's all I'm going to say. I am not a big fan of Donington Park. I've tried to drive it. Don't tell Tim Cox that because he lives very, very close to it and tends to like that track. But I am not so much a fan. A few elevation changes and just some very, very tricky blind corners.
Yeah, that track is incredibly difficult. It was originally going to be like basically reconstructed back in 2009 to host Formula One, but I think I'll share some more Donington Park stories come time for that broadcast in 1 week's time here on SMB. But we got one coming up in about an hour. That's the Spec Race of Ford race, and hopefully all of you tuning into this broadcast here for the Formula Fords will be able to catch that one later on today. And while you're tuned into this broadcast, how about you hit that like button, subscribe to Slow Motion Broadcasting, and ring that notification bell so you never miss out on any of the racing action. But I think for this Formula Ford Weekend Warriors broadcast, round number 5 at Thruxton, that will just about do it. And so for myself, Ron Maunz, and Adam Thompson joining me, working the comms and the cams with me on today's broadcast, I say thank you all so very much for watching. Have a great rest of your day, and we hope to see you all for the Spec Race of Ford broadcast later on today. Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.
minutes in front of these drivers and plenty of opportunities to make up some time and lose it as well. The green flag is out. The drivers are on their way, and he's already down in 29th. What's going on involving Ian Joyner in the 8th? This has been a disastrous start for him. I'm not even sure if he took to the grid. Either way, though, it's going to be Adam Thompson in the number 17 leading them. Look at that from Antonio Reese in the 914. Finds himself in P2 overall, top runner in a Masters races. Buchanan slotted in third. Lots of drivers already making up some moves. Primarily Edgar Sanchinelli, who's already made up 5 spots running down to 15.
Yeah, it looks like Ian Joyner did not take the start there, Ron. I think you are correct, and that's going to, promote a couple drivers up quickly. And, for us as the viewers here, we're going to hopefully get to see Ian Joyner try to make his way through the field right from the very back today. So that's the almost first to last challenge for him today.
Yeah, that is going to be a first to last challenge. It's a challenge that if any driver is going to attempt it, it's going to be Ian Joyner, but in a series as competitive as the Weekend Warriors, that's a foundation built on quicksand more than anything else. I believe Joyner has joined this race. See what I did there? There he is. He's heading his way through Nimberbrook of turn number 12 right now. He finds himself, still very early doors, mind you, but he finds himself in 28. This is not the way that Ian Joyner probably wanted this race to go for him at all. But again, as I said, if any driver is going to attempt it, it's going to be a driver like Joyner, already has 2 checker flights in the season that has a somewhat comfortable championship lead. But just because he's got Thompson's already pulling away, so it's not going to be a last and first challenge that's successful for Ian Joyner. Thompson's, that's actually a rather long pit stop, 42.3 seconds. So Thompson's very lucky that he built up that gap in the early stages. Otherwise, he would find himself in a world of hurt, and Antonio Reese going to get swallowed up by the field up to that.
Yeah, unfortunately, it looks like that one didn't quite work out for Antonio. We know, him and Yord were pretty much nose to tail there before this round of pit stops, and now he's got 2 cars in between them. So that may seal the deal for Antonio and Yord battle here, as well as we see, some people really benefiting from this pit stop cycle here, Ron, and a bunch of people diving in all at once there. Adam Thompson